guys, we're here at NSXpo. Welcome to another episode of VTEC Academy. You're about to get schooled. So I'm here with Claude Lawrence from Honda. Fun fact, I don't know if you know this, but his initials are CL, and the Acura CL was named after you, I hear.
Of course it was.
Okay, yeah. So anyway, we're here at NSXpo and just kind of checking everything out a little bit. And so let's take a walk.
Yeah.
See what you see.
Absolutely.
Hey, so I know you're not supposed to represent Honda as a spokesperson.
Correct.
But what do you do there?
I'm a chassis durability test engineer.
Did you do work on the new NSX?
I did.
Sweet.
Yep. Yeah. I was in charge of durability loads for the new NSX. And
Cool.
I actually got to go measure like wheel input loads at various tracks around the United States and the Nürburgring.
Wow.
Yeah,
So you actually, were you able to drive them yourself?
I was not
know
able
you were
to
able to
drive.
drive, but not at the racetrack, but you're able to drive other times?
Yeah.
Very
I got
cool.
to drive it at like various test tracks around the United States, but for the track testing, we had special like S licensed drivers, or S plus licensed drivers that were only driving the NSX.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, let's go take a look at one of the new NSXs.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a new Type S, actually.
This is the new Type S.
Yes.
So this color is incredible. What's different about this car compared to the normal NSX?
Yeah. So for the Type S, for the final year, we obviously did a facelift. And
Much more aggressive.
Yep, on the front and the rear. The rear diffuser's a lot more aggressive too. And then the big change was on the engine side. They actually put slightly bigger turbos on it to help the engine breathe a little bit more, so they could now make 600 horsepower.
600 horsepower
combined between the electric motors and the engine.
Did they do any upgrading to the motors, or are they basically the same?
I think they're basically the same. I'm not sure though.
All right.
Like maybe they've got some different tuning, I'm sure, because that's an easy knob
to twist,
and improve performance. And then big improvements are new tires. They went with Pirelli tires rather than the Contis, and then new suspension tuning like spring and safety bars probably.
Is there any difference in the aero underneath the car?
I think the main underfloor is the same. The main difference is the more aggressive rear diffuser.
Rear diffuser.
Yep.
Very cool. Awesome. Well, let's go take a look at this car over here.
Yeah,
J-swapped Civic. Or I'm Civic.
That's
J-swapped NSX. This is the swap. As you can see, it really looks like it belongs in here. I mean, obviously it doesn't have the same look as the C motor, but it looks totally at home in here.
Thank you.
So let's talk about a little bit what you did in order to make this happen.
So I reused the stock NSX mounts. The transmission mounts remain the same. I made an adapter for the front mount to use the stock NSX mount, front mount, and the stock NSX passenger side mount with another adapter onto the J block. There's an adapter for the, since we're running the stock NSX transmission, the intermediate shaft has another adapter to hold that in the stock place.
All right, what about hooking up the cooling for both the heater and for the radiator?
Yeah, so the coolant lines for the J obviously come off the other side, but the coolant line, the heater, it was piped the same, and the radiator was all hooked up the same. I have different radiator hoses, and
were you able? It's like me. I'll bend a piece of wire in the shape I need and walk down to Napa or wherever, and I'll say, I need 1.25 inches that's shaped like this, and they'll go, go look in the back, and then I'll just look in, usually wind up cutting a section of hose in order to make it.
I did. My first ones were pretty cobbled together, and then Napa helped me out, and they actually have a book that tells you which ones have what opening on which end, because the NSX opening is the radiator hose is larger than the
like
J,
1.5 inches.
so it has to drop down to 1.25 inches. Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Same with the coolant lines, or the heater hose and the overflow tank. And then I had custom running the J alternator and AC compressor, and then I had custom AC lines to hook up the J AC compressor.
And you have custom headers available for the swap, right?
I have custom headers that build that will run the exhaust from the J and terminate it just like a 97, 99 NSX.
Very cool. Is there a flywheel space or anything like that that adapts the one transmission, this block to that transmission?
No, it turns out the the J series and some of the early Gen 1 J series motors share the same bell housing pattern as the NSX transmission did, and the NSX flywheel, just taking out the pilot bearing, and it'll bolt up to the J crank.
Very good. Oh, you're running the stock ECU, and which is fantastic. If you want to do
J
boost,
series
yeah, stock
ECU.
J series.
Yeah.
That was stock for this engine.
Yeah.
And then, but when you go boost, you're going to wind up running, you think possibly an AEM or something.
Yeah, I have the AEM J-swap ECU that they make for it, and then you can go turbo, forced induction, anything you want.
All right, how's my hair look?
Yeah, good. So we're going to take it for a quick drive and see what a J-swapped NSX is like. Now, you have a first-gen NSX.
I sure do.
Yeah, so I wanted you to drive because it's going to be a comparison for you. Whereas me, I wouldn't know it from anything. I would say, yes, it's much nicer than my Civic with a J. And much slower than my CRX with a J.
It's probably, well, depending on what you're doing with it, it's probably not much slower than the CRX.
True.
Probably handles a little bit better, definitely better balance.
Balance can be an issue with a J.
We'll go nice and slow down this dirt road.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Especially with sticky tires.
Nothing like the sound of gravel inside your fenders.
What I will say is that it's got really incredible manners to just be able to kind of
putz around like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, just second gear, cruising. We don't have a speedo signal, but just cruising whatever speed.
Mm-hmm.
I think just once you get to a certain spot, because the speedo was working for a minute. Yeah, there it is. But yeah, it seems to have really incredible manners, especially considering you said it had a dual twin disc clutch.
Wow.
Like an aftermarket twin disc clutch.
Yeah, you know, I'm not a big fan of the dual mass clutch that they normally put in these things, you know, with the J, but, and obviously if you're going to track your NSX, you want something that's a little bit more robust than a stock clutch.
Right. It definitely puts a lot of abuse through it. For putzing around, it's pretty nice.
I love the sound of a J. Now, is the engine note, much different than the C?
It doesn't seem all that much different. Like he's definitely got, I think he's got a Comtech, like an older Comtech exhaust. And he mentioned that he had just put like kind of either catless or high flow cats on it that were kind of tricking with some stuff in it. It seems to sound pretty good. Let's maybe roll the windows.
I think you're right though, really well behaved.
Yeah.
It's got working AC and everything.
Yeah, that's incredible. You know, once we get
drives
onto the
just like any NSX I've ever been in.
Yeah. Yeah, it drives really, really nice. Shifts great. You know, you just feel like you're at home. Like, I mean, gosh, anytime you're in one of these cars, like, you're just like, the car is wrapped around you. You have high visibility everywhere. Do you know what the weight difference is between the two engines, Brian?
I think they're pretty close to the same. I think that the C obviously is a little bit heavier because of the head, everything in the head.
Yeah, that's what I would think, is that it would be a little lighter. Oh yeah, it drives so good. Yeah, I would say that it sounds very, very similar. Like, you know, just that nice V6 growl.
Yeah, the growl. Yeah, so I measured them, and I seem to recall the C being about 50 to 75 pounds heavier.
Oh wow!
So, but that was comparing them with the C transmission and the J on a C and a J transmission on the J. So I don't know if there's a difference in the transmission weight.
Gotcha.
So some of it may be there, but this car uses stock mounts with just some adapters, so it just feels absolutely smooth as a C would, and the acceleration seems completely on par to me.
Yep.
So a J-swapped NSX is pretty cool.
It's a little slower than mine because mine's supercharged. But.
Yours is supercharged.
VTEC is definitely a lot more aggressive.
Oh, is it?
I
That's
think
good.
so.
And he's running on a stock computer.
That's
but what
awesome.
he's done to this motor is he has
Yeah, different cams, like
he has
different J series cams.
right. He has some J series pistons from a Type S J32, I think, from the CL Type S, and he has the J series cams from the pistons and cams from the CL Type S. So that probably helps.
Yeah,
it's
a
interesting.
really potent engine.
Yeah, I actually have at my shop a CL Type S engine that I was saving for my 05 Civic, and now I'm thinking I might need to take those cams and pistons and stick them on another engine and do something with it. So
It definitely, it
Yeah.
seems just super well mannered and streetable. Like,
yeah,
it's just awesome. All the gauges are functioning, like oil pressure, water temp, obviously fuel and battery. Like, yeah.
a totally viable engine swap for this particular vehicle. I think
Right.
it works really well. Got good torque.
Yeah, it's got great torque.
Yeah.
And like he mentioned, from a maintenance standpoint, you can adjust the valves and do all the things without
Valves.
having to be a yoga instructor.
Or drop the motor.
Yeah.
So here's a question. Would it be cheaper to just buy another used engine and swap it out than it would be to take your NSX and have somebody do the valve adjustment, timing belt, and water pump?
I don't know. Right? You almost want to just do this one.
Yeah. I say this is actually a nice swap. So if you've got an NSX and you're looking to save your engine, put it on a shelf and throw one of these J's in there.
Yeah. And you can just put a ton of miles on it and not have to worry about it.
Not worry. You could turbocharge it and not worry.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Or
Yeah.
supercharge it.
Or supercharge it.
Yeah, nice Roots type supercharger sitting on top of the J.
Mm-hmm. They say one of the problems with the J and a supercharger is it actually interferes with the glass, the back glass. So probably some industrious person is going to need to come up with some sort of different manifold that allows you to get that to all work and still sit underneath the glass.
Gotcha. Like you're saying, the pulley is just up so high.
Yeah, exactly. The supercharger body itself, and if there's any plenum whatsoever, then of course it sets it up quite a bit. So
yeah. Heaven forbid you have an aftercooler or something sandwiched in there too that pushes it up even higher.
That would be a bigger problem. Now it would be interesting. It might be worthwhile to offset it forward and actually be able to put a cooler outside of the system, but that's going to be much more expensive, of course.
Yeah, a lot of
than just
custom
slapping it
action.
on top of the head. Let's go check the most hated NSX.
Yeah.
Come on over here.
I don't want to mess up your shot.
No, we want you over here.
Critical.
So, this is your NSX. Why don't you tell me a little bit about it?
Sure. Yeah, this is the Arcus Foundry NSX, and we did a J35 A8 swap. Added four-wheel steering from the '91 Prelude, and did what we thought was a nice homage to the Japanese Grand Touring Championship, circa 04-08 on the front end.
It's got a lot of really interesting engineering in it. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously the J series, and use the J series transmission,
We use
which
the
is
J-series transmission,
right.
yeah.
Now, how do you find the gear ratios for track use with that particular transmission?
I really enjoyed it. It's short 1, 2, 3, and 4, and a long 5
and 6,
So
yeah.
now Honda, from what I'm understanding, Honda put a pretty short gear ratio in that manual for the TL and the CL, I believe.
So they would have good performance off the street lights, which is an American demand.
Well, of course.
Okay,
Yeah.
and then 5 and 6 for fuel economy.
Yeah.
I shouldn't be speaking since you work for Honda. You probably know better than me.
I wouldn't have been the one developing the ones down in the 2000s.
Yeah, so,
Yeah.
the CL. By the way, we found out they did that in honor of his 10th birthday.
That's right.
So that's
really
why
nice
they
of them to
named
do that.
Yeah. So anyway, you also have this is basically a shell when you got it.
Yeah.
You've done quite a bit of work to it. It's got a really interesting front end. You have set it up with it's basically servo operated or whatever you want to call it, so that
we repurposed motorized seat rails from the seat of an Acura TL. It slides forward, you know, does the thing. Hopefully next time it'll be a little bit more robust.
super stiff splitter.
Aero works as you'd imagine. You can't really see them too well, but there are 6 struts that suspend the splitter in the air.
And these are shock struts.
Yeah.
And so the thing is, if you need to creep up over a speed bump or something, the whole front end is allowed to lift and pivot longitudinally and laterally. The thing is, if we go over speed bumps and stuff, it doesn't break. They comply. So the whole front end it's very durable. It's a very low cost setup. It's what do we use? 3/8 inch plastic for it, so it's durable. It's meant to be destroyed and a new one put on. It's not made out of carbon fiber, but the car comes in at I don't know, it's somewhere around 2,700 pounds.
Very good.
Wet. So we're doing pretty good on weight, we think. But I think the wide body here, and especially these fenders, started off life as from what I understand, as an FXMD prototype. You can see these present on Billy Johnson's old NSX.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
But we did our own thing, kind of cut them off to open this up and do some other things, and molded them into the hood and bumper, and we did that for practicality concerns.
Right.
So it's it's a race car. It's not perfect, but it is iterative. Like
It's a race car that you drove from Washington.
Yeah, we drove it all. I drove it all the way down from Seattle, and
Yeah, it's awesome.
yeah, no real issues. It's just a joy to drive. And as awesome as the J Series is, and what we think as awesome as the hybrid is going to be next, the real star of this show is the 4-wheel steering from the '91 Prelude. The guy Dave over at Prelude 3G for this, he put in a lot of work to make this happen, and
That's cool.
Can't thank him enough. The guy's an absolute magician.
So I got a question for you. That was a hydraulic system.
Yeah.
So is this a hydraulic system as well? And is there an independent pump, or is it running off a pump on the engine?
So no, we're using an MR2 electric hydraulic power steering pump in front to the Prelude front steering rack, and that's the only hydraulic on it.
Right.
I think people think of 4-wheel steering, they think of high-cast, like Nissan setup, and this doesn't operate like that at all. There's a reason why people take it off. This is a fully analog system. You have your steering rack in the front, your steering rack in the back, and a distribution shaft in between them.
When you move it greater than a certain angle, all of a sudden the rear tire switches to going opposite.
Yeah, the engine's great, but rumor has it that Honda set this car up for 4-wheel steering. The suspension geometry is apparently already dialed in for it. So we didn't really have to do a whole lot in the way of making the car, we think, handle the right way. I mean, maybe if Peter Cunningham, I'm talking to you, would have taken it for a spin today, he might have had a little bit more objective input on it.
Hey, I appreciate you showing us your car.
Of course.
By the way, how can people get a hold of you if they want more information on this?
Sure, yeah. I'm on Instagram at N8R4D3 or Gatorade. I'm also on Facebook under the same.
Here is where you finally see ones that have been like modified at least a little bit.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
A lot of the ones you see on the street or talked about online are unmodified, not tracked. Like, it's cool. These are the guys that actually use them
on the track. Exactly. I have grown up around the racetrack more than other places, so normally when I've seen an unmodified NSX, it was like in a parking lot, and I'll be walking by going, oh look.
Yeah.
And then, but yeah, having been to the track quite a bit, that's where I usually see them, and sometimes they're pretty crazily modified too.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. All right, this is my favorite color, right here, the yellow.
The yellow is very nice. Oh, this one's got a supercharger too.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. the tower bars, like the dead giveaway, it has to
have the hump in
have
it.
the big hump in it to
Yeah.
clear the supercharger.
Like the swing.
Yeah, it's interesting that he put the wing on and then he actually went and put the high mount stoplight in
Yeah.
the engine compartment. Because normally the third brake light is here.
Oh, okay.
So when you
Yeah.
put an aftermarket wing on, you get rid of it.
How are you today, sir? Beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Don't look too close.
That's okay.
It's
It looks-
not a beauty car, it's a track car.
It looks like it's been used.
That's why we're here.
That's why we
Because
like
of track
it.
cars. My favorite color.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, it wasn't mine, but I couldn't pass it up. I got this car for $32,000.
Wow. How long ago?
Let me see, it was about 2014 maybe. So
Okay.
I've had it 8 years, I think.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I regret having waited until the price went back up again to even think about getting one.
But this is the second engine. I blew my first engine, then I got a super custom built engine with quarter polished ballast and new frame. It blew up.
Oh no.
So this is my third engine in this car.
Ouch.
So
Was the supercharger a part of the equation before this engine, or?
no, I think it was just running too hot. Now I've got an intercooler, I've got
Yep.
a water method injection system. So
Nice.
I told the guy, you know, he was trying to give me more horsepower. I said, now at this age and my age now, I just want reliability.
Yeah.
I'm out of money. I'm out of money. 'Cause I put a lot of stuff in this car. It's got thermal brake,
Yeah, I'll say it's got the big brakes.
TWC4, TW3 coilovers all around, three titanium braces, 3 up front. One,
Got the one in the back
Yeah.
here.
so it's pretty rigid, you know, for T-Talk.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
awesome.
I've had a lot of fun with this car.
Yeah.
But it's the first time I've driven it 3.5 years. And I had an NSC1 for 2.5 years, so that car drives itself. So I spun out almost. I think I was done by NC1 again.
Yeah, it's a total weapon, the new one.
Yeah, it's really nice.
First time I drove one of those, I knew this. So I came out of a parking lot onto a main street and I just hammered it.
Yeah.
And if I'd have done it in any other car, I'd have been sideways. And the car just tracked straight and true.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
it's-
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks for
Appreciate
talking
it.
to us.
We'll see you later.
We'll see you.
Yep.
Claude, thanks a lot for coming out and joining me here with it. And you got to go back to Ohio where it's cold.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
So soak up some of this heat, bring it back.
enjoying
with
it.
All right, enjoying it. Relative. All right.
Relatively.
So anyway, guys, NSXpo, really cool event. Of course, a lot cooler if you have an NSX like you do.
Yeah.
And hopefully mine will be running within 5 years. And I'll be able to come here and run.
We'll set a timer.
Yeah, I can just put a timer on. Yeah, so that would be
Yeah.
7:27. All right, cool. So
Anytime.
so I'm there, 2027. All right. Anyway, guys, please. His name is Claude.
Yep.
My name is Brian, and thank you for joining us on another episode of VTEC Academy. And I hope you guys got schooled. We'll see you next time. So I'm here with Todd Lawrence, initials TL. I was gonna do a. I was gonna TL instead of CL. Todd, I appreciate you coming out here and. Why do I do that?
Yeah.
TL. If this happens,
It's very close.
If this becomes a
Phonetically,
thing,
it's so
no, if this
close.
becomes a thing, it's gonna drive me nuts. I'm gonna get you the nameplate that says not Todd.